All right, welcome to another PP video. Out driving around in the spring sunshine, which is really kind of nice, having just come back from Tunisia. So yeah, really enjoying it, and just ferrying some parts around and all those little duties that pile up when you're not at home. Anyway, now that we're back from Tunisia, we're deep into planning for Algeria. If you've been following the channel at all or watching some of our videos, you'll hear me referencing the fact we're heading to Algeria later this year quite a bit. And a lot of the preparations I've been working on are to get ready for Algeria, which is a significantly different prospect than Tunisia. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Algeria trip, the concept behind it, what we're going to be doing there, and some of the preparations we're working on. So the genesis of the trip, so PP, we've done trips in Morocco, we've done quite a few in Tunisia now, and we wanted to be able to explore more of the Sahara, become knowledgeable in what are the challenges, what's the terrain like, what are the rules that we have to comply with, what are the costs, all the logistics of it. And so this trip in November is going to be our reconnaissance of Algeria. So that's one element in the trip, is just to kind of find out everything we need to know about it. And for that reason, we're partnering with a company called Desartica. So Desartica is an Italian-based company, and they've been running trips in the Sahara, all over the Sahara and various places in Europe for 20 years. And so we've engaged them as our logistics and admin support company. They've got some local guides on the ground that they work with, so we'll get to see all of the administration and challenges as we go. But the actual concept of the trip came about on a weekend. I was just scanning through Google Earth, as one does when they've got nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon and it's raining outside. And we've done Morocco, we've done Tunisia, and there's this massive country sitting in the middle called Algeria, with a pretty massive desert and a lot of history as well. And so I thought, yeah, there's probably something we could be doing in Algeria. And scanning around, I found a place called Fort Flatters, which, given the fact that every other name I'm seeing is all in Arabic, Bedouin type names and Arabic names, to have something called Fort Flatters in English on an Algerian map was quite unusual. And so I had a little closer look. Yeah, there's an old fort there. There's an airstrip. It's way down in the south. And I thought, well, this is curious. So I started doing a bit of research. And it turns out that Fort Flatters is an old French Foreign Legion fort on their southern frontier. And it was named in honor of Major Flatters, Paul Flatters, who in the late 1800s led a couple of expeditions into the heart of Algeria, and unfortunately perished on the second expedition, as did most of his team. And so Fort Flatters is still, to this day, named after him, and the fort is still sitting there. And so what were the Flatters expeditions about? Well, it was the 1880s. All the big colonial empires were doing all these massive projects that were sort of the pride of their countries and motivated their people. And the French decided that they wanted to build a railway that would cross the Sahara and connect up sub-Saharan Africa with the northern Mediterranean coast. And so the government in France was looking around for someone to lead an expedition. And Major Flatters had been posted out to southern Algeria for a very long time. He was a very capable administrator, and he was always wanted to get into southern Algeria, but it's been a place that was quite dangerous and off limits. But now that the French wanted to find a route for this old railway, he thought this was his opportunity. But they put a lot of conditions on him. He wasn't allowed to go with a bunch of soldiers. It had to be very low key. And the first expedition was not a success. They ran into all sorts of trouble. the local Bedouin tribes, some of the tribes up in the Hogar Mountains were quite hostile, and they ran out of supplies, and it just did not go well. So they went back, slightly embarrassed, but eventually convinced the French government to fund a second expedition, which went better equipped. But due to a bunch of reasons, and there's a really good book by Michael Asher called Death in the Sahara, which is all about the Flat Earth expeditions. Basically, the second expedition didn't go well, and only a few locals, Algerian members of the expedition, managed to make it home. So really fascinating, and so we started looking at the terrain around the area where the Flat Earth expeditions went, and to be honest, it was quite impressive. And so we've decided to do an expedition into that area, to have a look at the area where Paul Flat Earth and his two expeditions tried to find a route for a railway in the Sahara. Now, interestingly, when I contacted Desartica and ran the idea past them, they were fascinated. They've been running expeditions into the Sahara for 20 years. They've never seen that terrain. It was a whole new ballpark for them. And so they're quite excited about it. We're quite excited about it. And so now we're putting together basically a reconnaissance. And for those who've seen our little bits on it, we're calling it the Long Patrol because the distances are just insane. Compared to our travels in Tunisia, where we might do 20 kilometers in a day, or we might do, 100-kilometer leg. We're doing 3 legs in a big circuit through the area where the Flat Earth expeditions operated. Each one of them is about 300 to 400 miles on each navigation leg, and the terrain is insane. There are sand dunes out there that are easily hundreds of meters high, and just fascinating geological formations, and it's all new to all of us. None of us have ever seen it before. Even Desartica's local guides, who've been doing trips with them for years, have never seen this area. So we're really quite excited about it, that we found something brand new again to go and explore. And so in November this year, we're heading out to Algeria, and we've still got some slots available. More, we're looking for driver owners with their own vehicles. They don't have to be stripped down Land Rovers like we tend to use. This is a Cat 1 and Cat 2 trip, so standard 4x4s in good mechanical condition. Land Rovers, Toyotas, Jeeps, whatever, they're all well. For those who are a little unsure about Algeria, if you actually go and look at statistics, Algeria is one of the safest countries in Africa. Lovely people, fantastic terrain, massive place, great deserts. Can't wait. And so hopefully somebody out there watching this is going to be inspired by what we do, want to be one of the first, and decides to step up and come along. Anyway, that's it for this week, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon.